All right. Hello and welcome to everyone who was inspired to connect with us today and join our course on your next best step. And this class was inspired by working with a few friends of mine. And as they are navigating their own decisions and life, just expressing that kind of not knowing of, well, what am I supposed to do next? Or what will feel easy next? Or I know what I'm supposed to do next. How come I'm not doing it? Like, damn it, what is holding me back from taking that next step that I either think I should take, or I know I should take, or I'm wondering if I should even take it? And I kind of get stuck. So I hear that from a lot of different clients and friends, and of course, myself. I don't have all the answers to know what's best, but I also appreciate in my life that I have, I believe, certain processes and ways of thinking about my life that help add a little bit of ease and make it even just that little bit easier to know what's next. And I'm going to give a spoiler. Sometimes the next best step is to do nothing. Do nothing. Actually, take a breath, go for a walk. Sorry, Brad. And what I love, though, is that sometimes the break might literally be taking 3 deep breaths, and then you're ready to jump back in, and now it feels completely different. And sometimes it might be putting that thing on a shelf and never looking at it again and saying, yes, I got everything I needed out of you. I chewed all the juicy flavor out of you, gum. And now I'm kind of done. There is no need for me to go back and pick you up and stick you in my mouth and have absolutely no flavor. So that is, I think, a gift we can give ourselves, but we are allowed to check in. I'm never saying, if it feels hard, just don't do it. Like, do we like challenges? Actually, we often do. And do we like to feel that success after a challenge? Yeah, I know I do. And so I'm definitely not saying if it feels tough, never try. But I do think we should allow ourselves to just notice, how do we actually feel? What will feel better right now in this red hot minute? Not projecting ahead too far, but just noticing right now. So speaking of right now, I would love, as people are continuing to come in, to just find ourselves in this place where we are right now. So no matter where you are, unless you are driving, allow yourself to maybe close your eyes and settle into the seat that you are in, whether it's a chair or a couch or a bed, or even if you're walking. Sometimes people will attend these things and multitask, and that's just fine. Just don't close your eyes then. Let yourself take that deep breath. Maybe even a little bit deeper than normal, and letting it out a little bit more than normal. And just giving yourself this space and this time to land here. And know that whatever you bring to this class today, it's absolutely perfect for yourself and for everyone. Whatever you take from this class today is perfect for yourself. And even just signing up has already shifted your momentum and your perspective. Acknowledging that there may be something useful for you is already opening the doors for whatever it is that's best serving you to come on in. And taking that next step of showing up live, that moved it even closer to you, opening that channel for the ideas to flow. And isn't it wonderful to know that you are taking these steps for yourself and your own great good and what's best for you? And perhaps there's something that I say that resonates and you think, yes, that's what I've been waiting for. And maybe everything I say feels like it doesn't resonate, and it gives you more clarity. Well, I know not those things. I know this other direction, this other focus is best for me. Well, that's perfect too. So giving yourself one more breath, just right down to your toes, and knowing you've already given yourself such an amazing gift of just taking a few minutes, breathing deeply, being in the energy of this group. There's already been value and worth. And it's been worth your time. You could drop off the call right now and nothing will have gone wrong. You will have already put yourself, kind of rocket boosted yourself through space towards exactly what you've been wanting. And so as you open your eyes, and again, remember that you're here in this beautiful space, these lovely people. I welcome you again. We've had some new faces hop on. I love so much that many people did register for this course, even though they knew they would not be able to attend live. So if you are listening on the replay, thank you for that. And again, for giving yourself the time to explore and be curious, because I do think that that is also very important as we lean into taking next best steps. So as I was wondering, what would I talk about in this course? I was reminded by many people that I never have a lack of things to say. I could just, interestingly enough, for a fairly introverted person, I could probably talk all day on the topics that excite me. And I think that that is often a clue to know if you are doing the next best actions in your life. Are you actually doing work that feels like play? Are you finding hobbies that you lose all track of time because you are just so focused and loving every second? That is where I think we often can glean a lot of knowledge. So I was wondering, how do I talk about something? I'm giving myself 60 minutes. I often choose different time frames with these types of classes. Sometimes it's been 2 hours or 90 minutes. And I thought, let's try 60. It's a busy morning for most people, obviously evening for others, and some are listening on the replay. But for many people, it feels like a challenge to carve out time in a weekday. And so I want to keep it efficient. And that means that there won't be a lot of time for people to be speaking up outright. And so we won't know exactly what people are wondering about and what their next best steps are. And so I would welcome you to use the chat if you are inspired to put anything in about what you are curious about in your life. And maybe there's nothing right now that feels like you have to make a decision or take action on, but maybe there's something coming, or you remember a time recently when it did feel like a bit more of a challenge. So you get to engage as you wish best. I am going to do my best to speak generally, because I know for myself, when I feel a bit stuck, a bit stymied as to knowing like what is the next best thing. For myself, it's often related to travel. And if you don't know me, I actually live nomadically and I do a lot of traveling. I don't have a home base really anymore. I do have a fixed address for taxation purposes, but I don't spend a ton of time there. And that means that I am always making decisions and I'm always trying to feel what is going to feel best for me, because I live my life wanting to feel good. I believe that I came here to explore and discover all kinds of experiences and feel all the emotions up and down the scale. But I also know I prefer the ones that feel a little lighter, a little happier, more joyful, content, satisfied. And I do believe that we can navigate our course through life and land on those points more often than not. And we wouldn't want to always stay there. Obviously, we do want to have different experiences and we do want to have preferences. But I also like to know that it can be easy. So as you are perhaps scanning your own mind for ideas that have been feeling like you're not quite sure what to do, notice how much you allow that it could be easy for it to be resolved or for that decision to come through. Or do you think it's supposed to be a struggle? Were you taught maybe that it's not worth doing if it's not hard work, and you really got to prove yourself and you got to show you deserve it, and are you worthy of it? And I believe that yes, you are. Just by being here, you were born good, you are worthy, and you do get to choose what you want. So those are a few basics that already you might be thinking, I don't know, that doesn't really sound very practical to me, or I know I was raised differently and I'm not sure about that. But I was raised to believe it had to be hard work and an uphill struggle, and you really needed to prove yourself. So I am speaking from experience. I kind of feel like the first 50 years were a lot of to-do lists and action steps and putting everyone else first and making sure that I did everything everybody needed before they even asked and did it perfectly. And it was exhausting and not a lot of fun. So if you have had any experience with that, you might know what I'm talking about. And I love that I am choosing a different path. So this is how I do think I have a little bit of credibility of just knowing how do I know what is that next best step. And as I said, for me, it may be what country, what city, what animals do I want to care for as I'm pet sitting? What kind of experiences do I want to enjoy while I am living in someone else's home? And what do I want to explore? And how do I know it's the right one? So I see Denai puts in the chat, what if the next step we take is the wrong step? Well, that's something we can talk about for sure. Here's another hint, a spoiler. I don't think there is the wrong step, but I think we could take a longer way to get somewhere, but wouldn't it be fun to think that we're actually taking the exact right way to get maybe somewhere else? Gosh darn it, kind of boggles the mind sometimes when we open up that there might not be a wrong. So, but we will talk about that if we want. So Ellie says in the chat, my next step is opening to new experiences and new friends and making all decisions from the heart. That's beautiful, Ellie. Yes. And I think that that is a very big key as well. No matter the language we use, I may use aligned, but yes, from the heart, it's really tuning into yourself and acknowledging what does feel best for you, as opposed to maybe what others might think is best for you or what you might think is best for others. Ooh, because that can really put you on a sideways track if you are considering things other than yourself. And then some people might say, well, isn't that selfish? Like, really putting yourself first ahead of others? And I say, yes, it is selfish. It's wonderful to allow yourself to have what you need and to feel satisfied and joyful and happy. And I would venture a guess that if you explored as an experiment to allow yourself to feel good and happy and fulfilled and joyful and energized and vital and loved and all of those other feel goods, the people around you will notice and they will absolutely be appreciative of what you are bringing to every encounter with them and every conversation, every action that you take. Instead of any of those old feelings, possibly of anger or resentment or just not caring, you are actually bringing your absolute best self. And that energy translates, whether it's cooking food or completing a task or giving them your time and listening to them, that energy that you have after you have selfishly tended to all of your own needs, I think will feel completely different. So feel free again if you have anything to add to the chat. If you disagree with me, I always love that too. But I do think we can definitely allow ourselves to be selfish. So Danielle said, I live my life wanting to feel good. Yes, words to live by. Thank you, Danielle. Yes, thank you. It has made a very big difference in my life for sure. All right, Danielle says, if a person is selfishly doing what they want and it is affecting you, which mindset can one take? Ah, Danielle, I love you so much. If you wanted to ask yourself a question of who is more important, me or that person, who is more responsible for my feeling good and my alignment? At the end of the day, when it really comes back to it, yeah. So I do understand that that feels like that's a very real question. It's very practical because we often feel as if how we feel is based on other people. It's based on our surroundings. It's based on a lot of external factors. And I don't disagree. If I'm standing out in the pouring rain, I might not be as happy as if I was standing out in a beautiful sunny day. But I do also get to choose in that moment, regardless of those external factors, how do I want to feel? And I get to choose even before I step out, am I prepared to feel good no matter what today? Do I allow it to happen? And wouldn't it be fun to know that if I'm prepared to be happy no matter what, that maybe I find that time, that perfect moment to go outside in the sun when everyone else said, really, it rained all day where I was. Or maybe you go out in the rain and you think, oh, wow, this was really refreshing. I normally avoid the rain because I think I'm just going to feel yucky and cold and wet after. And it actually felt really good. So that brings up, I think, our point number one is try not to be attached to specific outcomes. Try not to feel as if you know the one thing that you are going to feel and you do want that or you don't want that. How about being open to more possibilities? So when you're trying to decide that next best step in any topic, allow yourself to notice, what am I expecting to happen? And if that doesn't feel easy, could I be open to something else? Could I be open to feeling good if I'm walking out and it's raining? It's a question. If you think, no, absolutely not, I just got my hair done, or I don't, I have to be somewhere later, perfect. You've allowed yourself to notice that and rearrange your schedule, find a coat with a hood, an umbrella. You can give yourself tools, but just allow yourself to notice and ask questions. So I'm kind of sneaking into point number two, but let's go back to releasing attachment to outcomes. This is one that was a very big lesson for me because I used to think that I knew how it should be. Should is used to be a very big word for me. I knew how it should be. I knew how it should work out. And I would also make sure to mentally plan all the possibilities that I could conceive of to make sure that it happened. So whatever I needed to over prepare for and over plan for and make sure my brain was super active to make sure that it happened, I needed to feel in control of that at all times, because if it didn't, something went off track, I might not know what to do then. So then that would feel out of control and that would feel very bad for me because then I wouldn't be sure what to do next. How about trying something different and allowing it to be a little more open, allowing to know that no matter what, I can be okay with it. Now, again, speaking generally, I said this would be a bit of a challenge for me, and I'm allowing you to think in your own mind about the possibilities for your own situations. But could you step back and know that, I'm applying, I feel like I want to do my master's, and so I'm not sure what school to apply to. Well, does it need to be only one school? Could you apply to multiple? Could it be okay that you don't get in this time? Could it be okay that you never do your master's, that the idea of doing your master's was enough to light you up to know that you don't feel satisfied where you are now and you would like to have more experiences or more education or more stimulation or more challenges? So this is what I mean when I say releasing attachment to outcome and being open to more possibilities. So regular kind of thinking is, all right, I should do my master's. That sounds like a great idea. Oh, it's probably hard to get into schools, and especially that really good one. And I know they're really picky these days. So what if I don't get in? All of a sudden, we had a great idea and we went wah, 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 all the way down the sidetrack. Everything that might go wrong, of how challenging it might be, how hard I'll have to work at it. Allowing yourself just again to notice, where does your mind go? And what is it attached to? Probably how long it's going to take and how much money it's going to take. But it has to be this. And now I've set this intention. I've told everyone I'm going to have to get my master's or I'll have failed. Oh, but I put all that time into those applications and I didn't even get in this time. I failed at that. Like at every step of the path, if it doesn't completely work out in the way we thought it was going to, we often feel as if something has gone very wrong and that we're a failure and that we're not a success in any way, shape, or form because it failed. Introducing the open and, no attachment. I know that whatever happens is actually probably going to work out just fine. I know it could feel good. I know having this idea felt good. I know it was fun to research possibilities. I know it was fun to talk to people about it. I had some really great conversations with people who got their masters and other people who thought about it and then they didn't do it. And it was really great to get their perspectives. And I applied to those schools. And I didn't get in. But actually, now that I've been looking at other options, I've discovered this whole new, excitement about going to this different area, because those schools now are looking really good to me. And I've never thought about going there before. But now that I am thinking about it, I'm even more excited. Allowing for that type of thought process to work for you, and to know that it could be anything, anything at all. So I'm not saying everything's always working out for me. It's like, really, because my foot just got cut off and I'm not sure how that's going to work out for me. That seems a bit ridiculous. Well, I don't want your foot to get cut off, but I'm watching The Amazing Race right now, and there is someone who's lost both legs in an accident, and gosh darn it, he's living a very happy, satisfied life. And that seems to be, not his ideal scenario, but it is actually working out for him. So we don't need to go to extremes, but I do love that. I know when people used to say that to me, I would think, that's really stupid. Like, I was very judgmental. It's like, why would you say something ridiculous? Like, everything's always working out, because I can show you all this evidence of how things are clearly not working out. So as we soften that, just allow yourself to soften that type of quick reactionary thinking and feel into, how could this be working out? How could this actually be working out even better than I thought? How could this feel good for me? And not later, but what about right now? There's always the beautiful moment where we can say, how do I want to feel better right now? I don't want to have to wait until I get the money. I don't want to have to wait until I have more time to do what I want. I don't want to have to wait until I have that person do what I need them to do. I want to feel good right now. And allowing yourself to know that you're allowed to feel good right now. You don't actually need to take any action. And you could practice feeling good right now. And even if you allow yourself to close your eyes right now and think one thought that feels good. Maybe think about a person or a pet, or how your house is the perfect temperature right now, or how you had a great sleep, anything. And opening your eyes, knowing how powerful you are, that at any moment you can choose to feel good right now. You're not waiting for anybody or anything. You don't need them to change. You don't need them to happen. You can feel good right now. Even just taking a deep breath and letting that sink in. Now, the fun question. I listened to Abraham quite a bit, for any of those who don't know, as channeled by Esther Hicks. And the question that many, many people will bring to Abraham is, okay, yeah, Abraham, that's all well and good. I can feel good right now, but where's my money? How do I get it out of this feel goody place and into the bank? Like, where's my lover? Where's my, best job? And the fun part that is always very unsatisfying for people to hear is that you need to allow yourself to feel good and allow yourself to know what you want to feel when those external things do come and happen, and allow yourself to feel those feelings right now, because now is everything. Now is where your power is. Waiting until something happens, or the money comes, or the person comes, or you have no control over that. You don't know if any of that's going to happen. You don't know the when, you don't know the how. And so as you put all of your energy and focusing on, but I got to know that. When I know all of that, then I'm good. When I know how all of this is going to work out and I actually have it in my red hot hands, well, then I'm going to allow myself to actually do what I want, to think the thoughts that I want, to feel the freedom I want, to feel happy, all of those things that I've been really wanting that I know I can't have now because I have to wait. I'm sorry, but I disagree. I do believe that as you allow yourself to practice knowing how you want to feel and choosing to be there as often as you can, you are going to open up again that conduit, that channel of it flowing right to you. And we all have stories about what we think are coincidences or fun synchronicities. And even Arlene is saying the timing of this couldn't be more perfect. I'm so happy, Arlene, because we do get to create these experiences for ourselves. And we do get to come away with these crazy stories. And I have a whole bunch that I could share at another time of, flights that I thought I was going to miss, but in fact, no, they were all delayed perfectly. So I just got to walk on each plane. Money dropped into my bank account. And I've always been that person who, like, seriously, all these people talk about the money dropping into the bank. Well, I've done it where I've looked and go, oh, wow, okay. I guess the government did want to put that money into my account. Thank you. I wasn't looking for it, didn't expect it, didn't know I was missing it, but I happily accept it. And so as we're keep focusing on how does it feel to feel abundant as opposed to always in lack? How does it feel to feel happy instead of always disappointed? How does it feel to allow ourselves to know that we have everything we need right now, as opposed to I need to wait later? Because if we're always convinced that it has to come later, well, how can it come? Because we're always right now. And we create these thoughts and say, well, it comes later. Well, that's exactly when you're going to receive it, later. And you're going to keep looking for when is that later exactly again? What was the date and the time? Because it feels like it's taken a long time. Well, my friend, you are always right now. So it's coming at exactly when you thought it would. So allow yourself to know it can come now. And yet we don't want to hold and grip really tightly to it. Has to be now. It must be now. I need it right now. I need it right now. That energy allows nothing except all of your focus to be on what you do not have. I need it now means I don't have it now. Well, how about, oh, I know it can come. I know it could show up now. Maybe I actually don't even need this. Maybe something better is just literally waiting at my feet, and I just have to look down and go, oh, there you are, and pick it up. What if it could be that simple? And knowing that with all of the different options that are out there and you haven't been thinking of because you thought you knew exactly what it was. It has to be this, because if it's not that, then I have failed. But meanwhile, let's imagine a dish. I need this dish. I need it to be this food on this plate, and it can be no other. And meanwhile, you're at the buffet and they just keep loading up the trays and all of the different serving areas. But you are so focused on your dish. Maybe you're waiting for your fork to come. Like, darn it, where's that fork? I need someone else to bring me the fork, or I cannot eat this food on my plate. It has to be this food, and I have to have their fork, and I can't wait. It has to. Meanwhile, there's a whole buffet. So this is where I encourage people to stop and take that breath and look around and notice that buffet that's been filling in all around you. Because as we change that perspective that we have of what it's supposed to be and what it should be, then we get to see what it can be. And we get to check in with ourselves if any of those feel good to us. Because maybe we don't need what's on this plate. Maybe we would like to taste something else. And maybe some of those are finger food, or maybe there's forks that have been put on at that other station. We get to explore all of the options that are presenting themselves, and we didn't need to do anything. They simply were filling in. So when we allow ourselves to take that step back, that deep breath, maybe asking some questions like, does it need to be this one thing in this one way? Does it need to be now? Do I need to feel, can I only feel complete if I have it in my hands this second? Could it be later? Does this light me up at all anymore? Like maybe I wanted this on the plate, but now it looks cold and gross. And it turns out I didn't really want that sauce. Like, I get to keep checking in and I get to change my mind. Oh my gosh, can you imagine that you are allowed to change your mind, even though you said you wanted it? And even though you spent time getting it, maybe you spent money on it. Can you imagine? Even though you put that time and attention and told people and spent money, that you could change your mind right now and take like no other steps towards it and say, I think I'm actually all right now. I don't want that. Take that in for a moment. Even say in your own mind, I'm allowed to change my mind. I'm allowed. Oh, I am allowed. I'm allowed to be open to something that feels even better. I'm allowed to be open to something new. Maybe even needing it to feel better feels a bit too sticky. What if I just am allowing and see what happens and just see how I feel about it? What if I just let it happen and unfold? Yes. Loving these comments in the chat. Denai says, it's funny how we can get so specific about what we want. We forget many things can bring those good feelings. And it's so true. And when we're open to these new ideas, the ideas can expand on their own. I decided to take a trip last fall. I decided to go on an Abraham cruise, and it was in October. And I had no idea what was going to happen around that time, but I started to get seeds of an idea that I did want to travel. And I got it in my head that because I can be out of the country for 6 months without, changing anything about living in Canada, I thought, okay, I'm going to map out 6 months, less a few days, and I'm going to go over and do something in Europe. And I know the only thing I have planned is that one cruise. And then I had people I knew going to a yoga retreat in Greece, and it was in the beginning of September, but it was full. I thought, oh, that's too bad. And every time a spot opened up, I thought maybe I should do that. And then no. I was even on the registration page about to pay a couple of times. And I thought, I don't know. And then another time I had a conversation with someone and they said, hey, another spot opened up. It was like, hell yes, I'd like to be there. I want to be there. It feels really good to know that that will work out perfectly. So not needing to control the what or the how or the when, just waiting for it to feel good for me was beautiful. And it ended up that some other people going to that retreat and the cruise said they're actually going to fly back and forth. And I said, really? That feels like a lot of work and a lot of money on flights. I'm excited that I've already made the decision to stay for that time. So I know I'm going to be traveling in between. And it ended up that those two people traveled with me because the idea sat with them enough that they thought, oh, actually, that does feel good. And again, just letting it gently unfold and blossom on its own was really magical. Not needing anything to happen, even through the whole time. We said, if at any point one of us wants to go off, we'll just go. We don't have to stick together for this time frame. It was just a fun idea. And another friend joined us, and one of us did go off on our own. And it was fun to just let it be easy and let it be fluid. And there were some great moments. And after that cruise, I continued to just follow the energy and really feel into what feels good. And the fun thing that I noticed was that there was a time where I thought, maybe I should plan ahead a bit more. Maybe I need to lock in somewhere for a certain period of time. It started to feel a bit uncomfortable that I only knew about 2 or 3 weeks ahead of where I would even be sleeping. And I made plans and I thought, okay, there. It kind of felt hard, but whatever. Now I feel better because I know where I'm going to be in 6 weeks. And all of those plans fell through. And it worked out so perfectly because In the meantime, I applied for a pet sit that was going to be after that time. And those people were lovely. Actually, sorry, the pet sit was before, but they needed someone for after. I said, oh, I would love to do this for you, except I'm already committed. And it was those other plans that fell through, which allowed me to go back to these lovely people and stay in their amazing home and spend time with their wonderful animal. So it was a really nice reminder for me that when it feels like you're kind of pushing that wet noodle up the hill and doing what you should do, maybe it isn't that. Maybe it's perfectly okay to step back and allow that just to unfold. So getting to gather evidence for myself feels really good. And I would encourage you to gather it for yourself and maybe start with small ideas, things that don't feel like those really big, big, big decisions. Let yourself play with it and be light and curious. Like, I wonder what would happen about just not planning anything today and just see what happens. I wonder what would feel good and what I would be inspired to do if I don't make myself do those things I should do. What if I didn't clean my kitchen today when I felt I needed to do it? What if I just let it just be there for a little bit because the sun's out and I really want to go for a walk right now? Could that be okay? So play with yourself, wherever your little sticky points are, where you normally make yourself do it, and just see how it feels. If it doesn't feel good, well, then let that be okay too. And know that, you know what, I actually love having that kitchen clean as soon as I'm done eating. That is what feels best for me. But let yourself check in every day, because what if today's a little bit different? What if today that walk is just the most wonderful next step for you? Now, Denai says in the chat, how do you handle a situation where you know the next step, but you have fear around the step? What a great question. So let yourselves think about something that maybe feels a little fearful. And you think, well, that's why I'm not taking this step. Because of course, that is one of the other points I'd like to bring up today is if you laid out all of the steps of what you think you would need to do to get to this wonderful outcome that you want, and you look at that list and none of that really feels like something that you're prepared to do, it feels too hard, or you're waiting on people, or again, no time, no money, can't do it. But notice why. And if you do notice, well, actually, it feels scary. I think I do have fear. And James says, is it fear or excitement? Always a good question because it can feel very similar in our bodies. But if it feels like fear, I would continue to ask questions in a very loving way of myself. What does it feel like I'm scared of? What am I imagining is that worst thing that's going to happen? Is it judgment from others? Is it judgment of myself? Is it being seen? What feels scary about this? Is it that I'm afraid I'll fail? I'll be rejected. I'll be penniless. I'll have to ask for help. We don't like asking for help, do we? Not. I never did, for sure. So I won't project on any of you, but sometimes that is our biggest fear, is that it might not go well and we might have to ask for help. And I would guess that any people on the call who don't like asking for help, if someone asks you for help, I bet you're the first person to step in and say, of course, I'm happy to do that for you. It's a funny little paradox, isn't it? So that would be my response to Nye, is what does it feel like? I'm projecting ahead to the future, first of all. I don't know if that would happen or not. I'm allowing myself to kind of just go on one little path of how it could go wrong. And could you be open to also giving equal airtime, as it were, in your mind to how it could go right? All right, I imagine that actually, what if I lost a whole bunch of money? Like, what if I invested in this thing and then all my money was gone? Well, what if I invested and it actually worked out really well and I doubled my money? What if I chose to make this investment and I kind of just get it back at the end of the day? Okay, those are all possibilities. Why would we only give airtime to the ones that feel kind of the biggest and scariest? And even if you say, well, What if you did lose all of your money? Well, then what? Do you have any options after that? Obviously, we don't want you to, but could it be okay? Is it really all of your money? Or are you projecting ahead? Like, well, actually, no, it's $500, but that feels like a lot of money to me. Like, okay, but it's $500. What if it were 5,000? Could you live if you did lose it? Yeah. Okay, so you haven't lost all your money. Could you not live if you lose it? Well, probably not. Do you want to make the investment? Do you know, like you get to keep navigating and asking these questions. If it does feel like that big of a stretch, well, maybe now isn't the right time to make that investment. But you get to make these decisions for yourself and keep feeling into each little path that goes off of the main trail, as you were. So I do think Denai says we jump and assume the worst outcome. And I think it's human nature, it's survival. And we like to survive. And I agree, we should all survive and we should thrive. We should enjoy life. It should all be working out beautifully. But we do sometimes have that tendency. Danielle writes in the chat, how do you handle a situation where you know the next step, but you haven't the resources to take the next step? Taking a deep breath, always the great first step. And I would invite, if this is also your situation, to imagine, is there maybe another next step? Is there something that could also work out that you do have the resources to take? Is it possible that you are attached to only one outcome and you need it to be that? And perhaps other outcomes wouldn't require quite those many resources. It's possible. So allowing yourself to feel into what other outcomes could feel a bit better than where I'm at now. And I have everything I need and more to go there. Those are the questions that we sometimes forget to ask ourselves. And that's where coaching and a guide can obviously be useful, because you get someone who has no attachment just to poke around a little bit and say, well, what about this? And what about that? And again, not even needing to give advice, just encouraging you to ask yourself those questions. Because when we tune into ourselves, we often do have answers. When we uncover all those layers of we should do this and we should do that, I shouldn't spend money, I should be making money, I should be going to get a job, I don't want a job, I want freedom. Oh, but I should be doing that. Or I want this, but it's not here yet. There's so many layers of things not working out the way you want. We sometimes need a new perspective. That's all. Just a different way of asking a question or looking at our situation. Now, of course, the other side of that could be maybe that is the right place, the right outcome that you desire to be. And maybe you do have the resources, but you think it has to be only in one way or the other. And something else might be waiting again right there at your feet. But you thought, well, no, it has to be this or that. And I'm not seeing that coming through for me. So let's not stop the possibility that there could be other avenues as well. So I feel like I've been a little bit all over the map. Let me know in the chat if you do have any questions or comments, or feel free as you're doing. Thank you to comment to each other. Wonderful. I did prepare a handout. I was all ready to drop it in the chat, and then I dropped the T. And then I thought, well, maybe we will focus on where we are. So I will be sending that out to you. I have a Zoom link, or sorry, a link I can drop it here, but I'll send it out with an email with access to the recording no matter what. So you will have access to a PDF where I've a little more linear, streamlined, step-by-step questions to ask yourself. That is how my brain works. And so thank you for being open to just hearing me flow and offering different examples, knowing that there is also a worksheet. I do want to read, Denai said, I thought I was resistant to taking the next step on something. Sheila asked me some questions that made me realize that what I thought was holding me back wasn't holding me back. It was that I hadn't released something from my past that I felt like I had failed. And that's, I think, very, very common, isn't it? That we think we know, but sometimes just a few questions, I mean, again, if you know me, I'm not ever saying, let's stick around and let's find out, what that grade 3 teacher said to you that was mean. And then after that, you were always scared to put your hand up in class. And if that is what's there, that's great. But I'm never going to be one to dig for it. But then when you allow yourself to ask yourself the questions, if there is something from the past that wants to come up and be seen and heard and acknowledged and maybe released, it will often come on its own. So no digging required, but if it does want to come, then isn't it beautiful to allow it to rise up, be seen, be heard, be acknowledged, and released. So thank you, Janai. I'm glad that was helpful. All right. Now, what I would love to do is, I'm going to take maybe 5 minutes to do a very short exercise for those of us who are still on live and for everyone watching on the replay. I'm so glad that you have watched this long. And at the end of the exercise, I will put the links in the chat to download the worksheet. As well, I am inspired to offer a second part to this course. This was meant to be a free masterclass where I just spoke. But what I'd like to do is also now offer a 2-hour workshop. I'm making that one a paid workshop, but I just chose $16 as a fee that sounded like yummy to me. I don't want to make it super expensive, but just something where we could come together and be much more interactive. So maybe use the Zoom breakout rooms, talking to each other openly, and working through specific examples. So as we do a process, someone can either step up forward for a calibration. We could do a tuning to desired emotions, which is a very powerful exercise that I do, where we find those feelings that we do want, like joy or satisfaction or abundance, and we create a physical touch point for ourselves so that we can, again, practice and exercise that muscle of how do we feel this way anywhere, anytime, regardless of external circumstances. So to do that exercise, I think is very powerful. We can do that on a longer call. We can actually take questions. And if you want to have any live coaching, we can speak directly to what you are working through or wondering about. So no problem, Liz. Thanks so much. And with that, let's go through our very short exercise. And I will do a longer version of this on the call. I'm going to have it next week at the same time. So if you are inspired to join that, you're more than welcome. And if you're not, if you received something of value today, then that's absolutely perfect. So at this moment, I'll invite you to close your eyes, if you are at a place that you can do so, and take a deep breath. And allow yourself to be here in this space, held securely by this seat, knowing there's nothing you need to do, nowhere else you need to be, so you can allow yourself to just be here. And taking another deep breath, I would invite you to conjure a second version of yourself. This version is going to act as your guide. This version is familiar with this process already, knows its benefit for you, and is prepared to be here and holding the space for you to find value. Inviting this guide to be next to you, possibly seated next to you to your left. And taking a deep breath, feeling that support from your guide, and knowing that this process is here for you and your great good. And taking another deep breath, allow yourself to conjure a third version. And this version of you has already taken that next best step. So any scenario that you have been working with in your own mind, either a decision or an action step, allow yourself to invite this third version who has already taken that step or made the decision and is receiving all of the benefit, enjoying everything that you anticipate will be available for you after that step. This version is enjoying that right now. And allowing yourself to invite that third version to come and sit beside you to your right. And here's where I'm going to offer a bit of a choose your own adventure that you can choose to take or not as you wish. I'm going to offer a few options. The first option would be to lean over into that third version and see the world through his or her eyes. That is option number one, to simply lean in and feel the emotions that are there, what the world is like after this next step has been taken. Feel the feelings that are there and literally seeing the world through the eyes of this person, this version of you who has it done. Now, a second option would be to ask this version any questions that feel easy. You might want to ask something general like, how does it feel? If you would like, you could ask questions such as, how did this unfold? How did this come to us easily? Was there a different choice to be made? If that starts to feel in any way difficult, just let it be easy and back away a little bit. But notice if any answers do come through. Now, the third option, if you wish to take it, there's no right or wrong. But if you wish, invite this third version of yourself to step right into you and integrate. Happily sharing those feelings and those experiences and merging in to become one. And if you choose this version, just notice for yourself, how does it feel? Notice if you sense any more confidence in yourself of how to proceed. Again, letting it be easy. If anything about merging does not feel good, just know that that's not the right step at this moment. Taking a deep breath, knowing that however this process unfolded for you at this time was exactly right for you. Knowing there's no need to rush. Everything is unfolding in the right time. You're in the right place. And everything and everyone around you is doing what you need for your great good. Your energy has been calling in the cooperative components that are best for you. even if it feels as if you're not getting what you think you want as quickly as you want it, knowing that in fact, this is exactly right. And where is the juicy goodness that's available for you right now? At this point. So taking a deep breath, thanking your version number 2, who acted as your guide, holding that space for you within this process. Thanking your version number 3, if you chose not to integrate. Coming back to this seat and this place and opening your eyes whenever it feels good. Beautiful. We invited in another participant. Denai has a giant fat cat on her lap. Beautiful energy. So thank you again to everyone who came. I feel like I was all over the place, but I'm going to let that be okay. Feel free to download the form, the worksheet. If for any reason it doesn't work, let me know. If it doesn't work for any reason, know that everyone else has probably let me know and I'll fix it as soon as possible. There is a link if you do have any interest in signing up for the next workshop, where we will be much more hands-on and specific and help each other through anything that we would like to get some help through. My link tree is where I always put links to any specials or workshops coming up. So if you ever have interest in poking around in there and seeing what's new or passing it on to anyone, I always appreciate that. I do have a group membership that meets twice a week. That is so much fun. And if anyone ever wants to try that, there's a 10-day trial. And I love what we do there. We have great conversation, great energy. And yes, I always encourage people to ask questions there. And I even let other people answer before I speak. So I always know that there is value in us supporting each other. So yes, Kelly says the group is wonderful. And one of the reasons it's wonderful is because Kelly is in it. So thank you, Kelly. All right. So again, thank you for your time. And if you do have any questions, feel free to email me directly. And you're very welcome. I hope there was value for you. And if you would like to play together at any time, let me know. There's always going to be something new because I love doing this. This is what lights me up. So happy to have seen you and felt your energy today. And I will be sending out an email with the link to access the replay. I can send that worksheet again. And if any questions do come up, I can try to answer them within that email so everyone benefits. So have a wonderful morning or afternoon or evening, wherever you are, and hope to see you all again soon. Maybe even next week. Same time, same place. Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you.